Hi, I'm Janet, and we're here at Zizimileni at the COP, together with Cecilia and with Roland. When did the garden start?
The garden actually starts in 2018 when they registered their co-op, you know, the Zizimileni Cooperative. It's a primary cooperative and it's also an agricultural cooperative. And the cooperative is actually a part of the development side of Food for Thought.
Right,
They've got the educational side, that's the school, and then the development side.
Now you almost lost this garden 2 months ago when the fire came raging through. Tell us about that. That must have been really scary.
You know what, when we saw it up there, I thought, okay, there was down there, okay, there goes the fynbos, there goes the sour figs, there goes everything, and I thought, okay, that was more to the kelder side, because from my
Then the wind
house.
changed.
And then, I'm not sure, but because I also said to myself, once there's a fire, then the wind will change, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same with you preparing everything, and now you had to go on a road trip, and then something happens. It's the same with the fire. And then I thought, okay, and then they say, okay, now the fire moved to this side. But you know what, it was very devastating when I came here on a Monday morning, seeing, all the damages and stuff. Roland was here, during that weekend. He was sitting down there and he said he was seeing, how everything's got destroyed. But I also said to him, luckily with our plants and stuff, it is only the heat that touches it, but we can.
So it was a bad fire and it was an ugly aftermath. But what is the good? Because I believe you've had like major produce since then. Is it the carbon, the ash? What happened?
Yeah, a lot of the ash blew in back from the fire that went down to the beach.
It was like a sandstorm.
So the north wind pushed it back and threw the whole place full of carbon dust.
I've seen spinach. It's like monster big.
Yeah, no, everything's going well. I think it's also a lot what we're doing to the soil, because the soil we got here is like almost nothing, no energy in it.
Right.
And we're rebuilding it with compost and horse manure that we collect from Howard, and he's got lots of horses there on Springfield.
Okay, so what do you need from the community? Because I know there was some donations of shade cloth and plants and seedlings right after the devastation of the fire.
Yes.
That was the good. But I mean, we need the good to continue. You guys need a lot of help here.
Yes, no, of course we do.
Anybody like to donate time, tractors, anything to help?
There is an agri account we can put in money every month. Then we just go buy what we need there, like if we need piping and shade cloth, like now I've ordered shade cloth, so you just keep filling the coffers.
Well, there's so much that's happening, there's so many developments. We're definitely going to have to come back sometime to find out more. Thanks so much, Cecilia.
Roland. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Join me at Overberg Agri Stanford. Today we are planting seeds. All right, first things first. When you're shopping for seeds, on the back of every packet on the rack, there is a seed sowing instruction, and it shows you spring, summer, autumn, winter, and there's a tick in the correct month. It's quite simple to then make the right decision, basically choose things that can grow now. And now we are in autumn and moving into winter. And I'll run through some of the things that we can grow at the moment in May and June. Things like brassicas, these are your cauliflower. You can also do Swiss chard and baby spinach, lettuce, peas, sweet peas, different colors there, artichokes. We've got some lovely asparagus, and also we've got beautiful coriander, or dania as it's called. There we've got broccoli, and don't forget broad beans. And also this is onion time, people, so you can sow your onions now. Choosing your packet of seed, how do you make the best decision? Well, there's a lot of seeds in this packet, and of course some seeds are extremely small and others are up to the size of a pea. So when you pick up a packet of seeds, sometimes it'll feel like there's nothing in it. Now that's because of one or two things. Either the seed's very, very fine, or the seed is very, very expensive. You'll notice that seeds are not sold by weight. So when a seed is very expensive, the manufacturers simply put less of that seed into the packet. So not all seed packets are equal. So you could get a bumper packet of carrots of one variety, and then you go and buy some red peppers or yellow peppers, and you'll discover there's very few seeds in the packet, and that's why. Once you've decided how many seeds you need, you can make a decision. You can buy a bumper pack or one of these small packets. I've selected a packet of lettuce, which we're going to sow later. Also, it's important to note, if you're going to be using your seed for microgreens or for sprouting, best to choose from the microgreen and sprouting range of seeds also available here at Stanford Overberg Agri. So you've got your packet of seed and you are ready to start planting. You'll have to decide whether you're going to sow directly or whether you're going to use a container. Some seeds, like sweet peas, are best planted directly into the soil. No point in wasting your time putting them into a container. These Numqualan Daisies, same thing, better to just sow them directly. And with seeds like this, the way I would do it is I would typically just remove some of the soil from the prepared flower bed that I'm about to sow into, put it into a bucket, throw the seed inside like I've done here, mix it up, and then walk across the area and actually just sprinkle it by throwing it into the garden beds. For all the other seeds that you won't be sowing directly, you're going to need a good container. So let's have a look at what options are available to you. First, we have a flat. This is a seed tray with drainage holes, which is important. Always make sure you have drainage holes. You don't want to drown your seeds. Make sure that you space the plants properly. You do not want to have a situation where your seedlings are too close together, because they will become long and leggy and you will never be able to correct that. Next, we have a plug tray. Plug trays are great for home gardeners because they give you just enough room to grow that plant to a suitable size so that you can plant it out in your garden without worrying too much about it. And of course, it's not nursery 6-pack size, so you're going to have your plants ready a lot sooner. This is a microgreen tray. Typically this one has holes in it, and you would be able to get one without holes which goes underneath, and you sow your microgreens into this tray and then you would just harvest them from here. This is a perfect size for doing that, and because it's microgreens and you're going to have it in your kitchen, whatever, probably best to use something like vermiculite or palm peat, which is already clean and sterile when you're growing your microgreens. Start with a good quality soil. If you make your own soil at home, make sure you sieve it. Don't use garden soil and put that into containers for growing seedlings. Not a good idea. Something like this, the palm peat is sterile and it has no nutritional value, but it's good to note that your seeds in the beginning contain enough food in there to support the life of that seedling for the very first few whorls of leaves. So typically by the second or third whorl it would require some feeding, but initially it can germinate in this, and you would get very good germination in something like this because there's a much lower risk of pathogen infection. Now, when it comes to sowing, on the back of every packet of seeds you buy, there's a complete set of instructions. This will tell you how deep to sow the seeds and how far the final spacing should be. Also, when it comes to sowing seeds that perhaps didn't come in a packet and you don't have instructions and you're not sure how deep to sow them, good rule of thumb is between 2 and 3 times the width of the seed. So there's a handy little ruler on the edge of this packet, and these are lettuce seeds. Lettuce seeds are light sensitive, so very often they require darkness to germinate. This packet is asking for a depth of 0.5 millimeter to 1 centimeter deep. So whatever you have available, I'm using the seed packet itself. You're basically just going to make a few furrows. Now, I would not leave these seedlings in here for too long. I would use this tray typically to just get them going to the first set of leaves, and from there I would transplant them out. If I am going to leave them in here for a long time until I'm ready to plant them straight into the garden, then I will have to prick these out. I'll have to thin them out and make sure that they are not too close together, because if they're too close together they are going to get long and leggy, and that is a problem. They will fall over, and you cannot bury things deeper than what they are in the ground. with one or two exceptions like tomatoes. But for these seedlings, they need to be short and stocky, not long and tall. I'm just going to sprinkle the seeds in. I'm going to eyeball it, and I will space them as far apart as I can, and there we go. I've got a decent gap between them, so when it comes to removing them, some of them are going to be very close together and you might lose some seeds. You'll have to thin them out. Now that I've done that, I'm going to just cover the seed up, and I'm just using my fingers for that. Just lightly fill it in. Watering your seedlings, you can use a watering can or a hose pipe on a fine mist setting. If you use a watering can, start watering next to the tray so that that first dollop of water doesn't hit the tray and bump your seeds out, and then move it across, backwards and forwards like that, and then you're done. Once you've watered your seeds, you want to maintain consistent moisture. You can put them in a clear plastic bag to just get them germinating, but do remove it straight away the moment the seeds have germinated. It's not essential. What is important is to make sure that you've got sufficient light, and remember, short and stocky wins the race. Fast forward and our seeds have germinated and we are ready to start transplanting some of them. If you remember one thing from today's video, let it be this golden rule: you never ever hold the seedling by its stem. So you would put something in the ground, lift up, I'm using my finger, make sure that when you start to pull it out that you grab it by one of those seedling leaves, those round leaves. Grab it there, pull up. If you feel some resistance, you need to loosen it some more, but if it comes out easily, you're A for away. Never hold a seedling like this. It's very difficult to hold a seedling like this and not damage it. Always hold the seedling here. And when it comes to planting it, make sure that the hole that you make is big enough to accommodate the roots. Do not bend or shape these to fit into the hole that you've made. The hole should accommodate the roots in their entirety, and preferably in the same direction and pattern that they were in before you transplanted them. So there we go, and that's my seedling planted. Now, if your seedlings were in too much shade or too close together, at this point when you transplant them, you might discover that they are long and lanky, and you would see very often they'd be growing out from that height, and then they would start to fall over the moment you have some growth, and that's why you want to make sure that they have sufficient light from the beginning. So you've planted your tray, and soon this will develop into a six-pack. But is this really necessary? I don't think so. So what you can do is avoid that step by spacing these properly. You can either then plant them directly into the garden, or use one of these trays, a plug tray, sow directly into this, and when they're ready, you just pop them out.